matter.
It's true.
Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to the Big Blue United podcast. My name is TJ. I'm here with Dan and Colin. We're back again. We missed last week because we have lives and jobs and kids and all that sort of thing. But we're here. We're going to talk preseason, training camp. Looking forward to some Jets preseason action next week, and then the real regular season coming up very soon. Before we get into anything, I just need to know, how are we feeling? Does it feel good?
In general, life is
yeah,
good.
just life. I want to know about you before we talk about the Giants. I know our listeners want to know about you specifically.
How about I say how I think Colin's feeling, and Colin says how he thinks I'm feeling.
I'd love that.
Could be a productive exercise. Yeah,
let's do it.
I think Colin is feeling pretty good, pretty zesty. I think the weather today put a little skip in his step, that crisp air, sort of feeling like his season is upon him. He can get out of the shadows and walk in the light once again amongst the others. I think there's a lot of good music to be had in this world. Colin's feeling creative. He's in a creative mood. And he's got enough distractions to prevent him from thinking about Daniel Jones all the time.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty accurate. I'd say for you, Dan, you are entirely overwhelmed with a all-consuming job and large family, and somehow you still lament and think about Daniel Jones entirely too much.
Yeah, I think that's 100% accurate. Wasting a lot of energy on stuff that is really unhealthy. Yeah.
Beautiful thing. Be elder millennials unite.
Yeah.
As usual, guys, please follow Big Blue United, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow us, BBU Podboys with a Z. Email Dan, bigblueunitedpodcast@gmail.com. Funny
I'm working
story.
through the emails. I'll get to you all. Just give me a second.
So for some reason that Big Blue United that's the email for one of my streaming services that I use. Probably because I was just using free trial after free trial. Eventually I just started paying for it. So my wife is trying to enter it at my brother's house. She's just like, why does this have to be so long? And I'm like, why is it so long? Big Blue United podcast@gmail.com. What was I thinking?
I think it's funny every time you say it, because the way that you speak in general is it almost seems like you are racing yourself to get out as many words as possible. So the more words that you have to say, the better it is.
That's true. I like to read things very quickly, pronounce them wrong. I think what was my claim to fame was we were playing Madden. I had a creative or just a player that was generated in franchise mode. I think his name was Joaquin.
Yeah, I think so.
I just called him Joe Quim the whole time.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm special.
Which is it's better.
Joe Quim Penix.
Perfect. Let's talk some Houston game, and specifically maybe we can start with Daniel Jones, since he seems to be on in your guys' minds, the tip of your tongue, tip of everything, really. I just want to talk about, he was 11 for 18, 138, 2 interceptions against Houston's actual starters, 2 for 6, 8 yards, 2 interceptions, 2.8 passer rating.
Did say 2.8?
2.8.
TJ.
Yeah.
He's rusty, man. He's very rusty right now.
He's a rusty trombone for sure. He needs one. I will say that I think when the announcer said that, Jones probably threw the best pass of his entire career in this game, which I might agree with, to Slayton down the sideline. And then he also probably threw the worst pass of his entire career in this game, which is that pick six, which to me was a play that maybe a college freshman would make and then get benched the next game for.
High school freshman.
Perhaps high school. I wanted to give a little more credit to the high school or college players out there. Either way, in what reality do you watch a quarterback who's in his 6th season throw that ball and make that decision? It's absolutely insane. How can you defend Daniel Jones at this point? I don't understand.
Well, just looking back on that pick six, for example, and I know he was off balance, but you just throw it really hard and really high in that general area, and then it doesn't get picked off. Why?
Or really low.
Or really low at someone's feet.
Or take the sack.
Or take it was going to be a safety.
I'm sorry, take the safety. Whatever. I mean, 2 points is better than 7.
Yes, you're right. No, his brain doesn't work. I don't think it works. It may work in the real world, selling insurance or whatever the hell, Bibles, whatever the hell he wants to do, but it's not football, and it's not NFL football. Like it. Someone who the hell said, I read it today. It was I can't remember who was saying it, but it would be almost doing the fan base, the front office, and Giants Nation in general a disservice to start this guy. I think it was what's his Acho. What's his
Manuel Ocho, or
yeah, he's been saying quite a few things that were over his career so far that are spicy, but I think he might be correct on that front. Like you can't. How do you go into the season feeling any sort of confidence? I mean, granted, the only thing you can say is that he was injured for a while and he's coming back. But like, I don't know. You see quarterbacks that are 6 years in get injured, and yeah, they might have a poor throw here and there, but their decision making doesn't suck.
Right. I think if we're going to talk about, sorry, TJ.
No, go ahead.
I think if we're talking specifically about that play before the broader discussion about Daniel Jones and where we're at is, the excuse you hear about his performance is knocking the rust off. He's coming back from a major injury, but like Colin was saying, decision making shouldn't really be something that is affected by you like building back your muscle memory and your throwing motion. Like he should be able to dissect that quick enough to make the right and smart decision and not, try to juke a sack in the end zone and then throw just an indefensible ball there. There's no excuse for that. And I think it just belays what we've always said. It's like the fact that he's like a mediocre like athlete, maybe above average athlete, doesn't make up for the fact that he's never had the processing power or the ability to move and perform like a professional quarterback, aside for glimpses here and there. And I think we can have the discussion about like the offense and what they did and what they were trying to do, which is a little more interesting. But from that play alone, it's like a bottle episode of why Daniel Jones is not the answer.
Well, a perfect example of this, of like when things were working, that Brian Baldinger clip about him talking about the pocket and how the line is just leaps and bounds better than it was last year. Well, that's all good and fine. But to Adriana, New York Giants fangirl, our cohort from Big Blue United, said in one of her stories was that when she was watching it, it almost felt like he was still not believing the fact that there was a pocket there and was still throwing it as if he had Swiss cheese in front of him. And like his whole decision making has been screwed up from the get-go, which I guess you can't blame him, but if you're a better quarterback, you're feasting on the fact that you have the time and you have to trust the line. I mean, you're seeing it in training camp. You're seeing it against the Lions, practicing against them. He had a pocket. Well, you get into a regular or a regular bullets flying preseason game, and you're still nervous. You're still getting the ball out too fast or wrong decision. I don't know if that's going to change anytime soon. Has he been screwed up from the beginning? I don't know.
I didn't mind, some of him getting the ball out a little faster. I thought that was good. I just thought, he's not putting the ball in a place where only his receiver could get it, or really in a place where his receiver is the best option to catch the ball. I mean, if you look at like the one drive when he was going against the second team defense of Houston in the second quarter, and he had a couple good throws in that drive. One is to Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors makes it a crazy athletic catch race to jump up over the top and bring it down. The next, maybe 2 plays later, he throws to Hyatt. Hyatt, it's not a good position for him. Hyatt has to make a one-handed catch to grab it.
Out of bounds.
Out of bounds. Yeah. I mean, it's just like he's not. He is not capable of making the throws and being accurate in the high pressure situation. I don't think
never has been.
Exactly.
Consistently either.
Yeah, and you can people can point to games or point to quarters or point to plays, but if you want to take a guy who's been in the league for 6 years, has played probably combined like 4.5 seasons with injuries, you have maybe 6 to 8 good quarters in his entire career. The rest of it is absolute trash. Yeah. And you can't possibly have looked at this game. The second interception, was a great play in the ball by Stingley, but a good quarterback would have tried to lead the receiver outside a little bit, and he threw it directly inside to Stingley, who jumped right on it. And, if you're going to be tested, Malik Neighbors is going to be tested by the best cornerbacks in the league next year.
Mhm.
And if you're going to think that you're just going to throw 50-50 jump balls to him and win every time, you might not, because you're not putting in the ball in the best place for him to be able to go up and get it.
Yeah.
And that's going to keep him healthy at that.
My friend from work was asking me about, my thought, like live as we were watching the game, like on Sunday. He was texting me, and this was after like the interception and the first pass, which was almost an interception. My feedback wasn't Daniel Jones sucks. It was, I think Daniel Jones would get Malik Neighbors injured early this season. Like, just like TJ was saying, yeah, Malik Neighbors is great and he makes great catches and he saves the quarterback a lot, but you don't want to put him in that scenario. The ball is still going behind him. His first catch was great, that crossing route, but he had to stop his forward motion and reach back and get it and make an acrobatic catch. Whereas if you put it in a better spot, maybe threw it a little earlier, he could have caught it and ran it. We're celebrating, a 10-yard completion, but it's a layup when you have a receiver that's getting that much separation off the line, and you're not putting that receiver in a position to do, reach his full potential if you're making him sacrifice his body every time he wants to try to make a catch.
Not only that, but you're throwing him up the hospital balls, but on top of it, or I don't know, at same level, you are putting this this amazingly talented star wide receiver at risk of instantly being pissed off, instantly turning into, for a lack of better words, an Odell situation where frustration just starts bubbling up and all of a sudden, I don't want to friggin' be here anymore. Do you want that to happen early and often this season in his rookie
You mean
year?
that's more like a Stephon Diggs type situation?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just relating it to former players that we actually had where, frustration was abounds. I don't want to piss this guy off to the point where he doesn't want to be here anymore. And I have to believe that Dable recognizes that. I want to be inside of Dable's head constantly when he watches the things that Daniel Jones does.
I think he's resigned to it. I think he knows. So I think what they're clearly doing is they're telling Daniel to not think and push the ball down the field. Like, I don't care how many interceptions you throw this preseason. You have to get comfortable pushing the ball down the field.
It's true.
I think they're also making it extremely vanilla and extremely simple. Like, I watched a lot of guys that are watching the film and know a lot more about offense than we do. And yeah, there's one thing, it's preseason, but I don't think they're really holding back much. They need to get Daniel Jones up to speed as quick as possible.
Yeah.
I think they're giving him half field reads. They know he can't progress. He can't read the whole field. They're making him look at one half of the field, and they're giving him, pre-snap priorities. He's not making adjustments pre-snap, and he's not making adjustments post-snap. There's not a lot of nuance to his game. They're keeping it very simple. And it's frustrating because you bring Dable in because of the stuff he did with Josh Allen, and he can't implement any of that stuff because the processing isn't there and the ability to sort of think for yourself isn't there. I think we both shared that tweet. I'll pull it up and cite it after, but it was the one where we're saying, he can't do it. He can't process at a level where you can have a complicated or even a nuanced offense.
What do you tell him? Like, what is the conversation you have with him? You sit him down as a coach and you're like, listen, Daniel, know you can't do this. And he's like, no, I can. And we're like, no, you can't. Is that the conversation?
To go back to what you were saying before a little bit, Colin, and to talk on Jones too, I think that Dable knows that. I think Dable knows that Malik Neighbors is not going to be happy. I think that's why you saw a handoff to Malik Neighbors in this preseason game.
Mm.
And you will see that because they are going to get him the ball because they know he wants it. And, he is your best player. The one thing I will say is that there's no way the offense can be, I won't say better or worse, but less exciting to watch than it has been. It has to be more exciting to watch this year than it was in the last couple of years. There's no way with some of the talent they have, at least at the skill positions, and with an upgraded offensive line, presumably Rocio seems to be doing a great job with the guys that have in there. If you look at we'll get into offensive line. I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but I just think that Dable is well aware, and he's well aware too that they are going to be moving on from Jones at the end of the season and probably halfway through the season, or just waiting for him to get hurt. They're going to do something.
Well, here I might have the solution, guys. I think I figured it out. Since our emergency quarterback is one of our tight ends, Tyree Jackson, we just have him on the field all the time, and it could just be option plays for him to throw the ball. What do you think?
Like when Saquon had to play quarterback?
Yeah, no, but that was Wildcat. This wouldn't be Wildcat. You pitch the ball to Tyree, and he's just throwing it all the time. Why not?
You know, I don't know if that style offense is going to work in the NFL.
Yeah, it did 100 years ago in our 100-year anniversary of being in the league. Wouldn't that be nice?
Would be nice. To talk more about the offensive line, I did look at the PFF grades, and 7 out of the 10 top grades were offensive linemen, which to me is the biggest takeaway for me from this game and the most important aspect of what's been going on in the preseason and training camp. I couldn't be, more excited really that the unit seems to be finally coming together. We finally have a competent coach, it would seem. And I'm pumped, whether or not Jones is going to be able to take advantage of this. Like Colin said before, that he, is still scared in the pocket, even when he has one, probably going to be taking off to run more often than he should as well, I would imagine. That remains to be seen. But however, you can't deny that the unit's better, and it's going to be better look for them, moving forward. I think a lot of these guys are on a couple-year deals. So despite Jones, I'm pumped about the offensive line.
You both say that it's going to be a more exciting offense than in years past. And I can't get over the fact that the one man number 8 is going to prevent that from being possible.
I think it's going to be more interesting from the sheer fact that they are literally going to force him to throw the ball down the field nonstop. That's going to be like the one priority.
That's fair.
Whether or not he's reading properly, whether or not there's like any variation, they're like, we've got 3 super fast, super good separator wide receivers. Throw the ball quickly and deep, whether or not they're open, and we'll live with it because we're not going to make it up dipping and dunking because you clearly can't do that. And we'd rather just hit 1 of 5 deep passes and get chunk plays and maybe swing the game like that.
And it also plays into what I said a couple of episodes ago about how it's a win-win for Dable, because if he just constantly throws picks and sucks, then he can pull them. But if he's throwing touchdowns, okay, great.
Daniel Jones' stat line is like 2 for 20, 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 180 yards. That's the stat line we're looking forward for.
All fly patterns.
Everything is just straight down the field. Either you complete it, you get a touchdown or a pick.
Yep.
Yeah, everything is a pre-snap read where he snaps the ball and just throws it like Colin would.
Straight up in the air.
Yeah, put some air under it so the receiver can get there. But
oh man, I mean, I've been intentionally not.
Wait, just so you know, we're supposed to be talking about the offensive line right now.
Oh yeah, I know. You're right. Well,
they all go together.
I will say, if we're going to go back to that, JMS, our center, looked pretty good. He was throwing people around, and I was enjoying that very much from the highlights that I saw, pancakes and such. It's good to see him back healthy and ready to go. So that's
yeah. I get the feeling he's only going to improve too.
Yeah,
this was still sort of getting used to the guys around him. He didn't practice much.
See, that's what I said. My dad was all down on him. He's like, yeah, he's going to have to do better. I'm like, Dad, he was put in the worst spot ever. He had garbage around him and a bad coach. He wasn't going to perform well as a rookie. Give him another year with some competency around him, and I think things will start turning around.
Did you see that stat about Matt Peart's PFF grade or whatever?
No.
You should look it up. It's like a 90 or something from the preseason.
Shut up. Hang on, I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
How?
Because he's not on the Giants anymore.
Yeah, right. I love that.
Where is he now? I forget.
Broncos, I think.
Broncos.
That sucks. He always sucked, man. That really sucks.
He's like,
he just sucks. This sucks. Everything sucks. Wow. Here we go. Yeah. He is. He's graded 86.7 thus far in the preseason.
Pretty good.
I bet he's great.
I was watching. I was watching the Saints. I forgot who they're playing, but they're like, "Oh, Shane Lemieux hasn't taken a snap in 8 years. Is playing already." I'm like, "Of course he has. Of course, as soon as he's off the team, he's healthy immediately." Which is funny because I sort of remember the Giants having this opposite effect when Eli was the quarterback, where there would be all these patch catchers on the Giants that would be awesome. And then as soon as they would leave, they would just absolutely fall off immediately. Like Kevin Boss and Mario Manningham and Keem Nicks and whoever else.
Steve Smith was the perfect example.
Yeah. I was watching some Mario Manningham highlights the other day. That was pretty pumped on that.
Yeah, you know what?
That was pretty good in the postseason.
Total tangential on that. He was one of those players that, like, I think all the fan base, obviously you remember the big catches, then the big one in the Super Bowl. But outside of that, I think we forget a lot of the cool stuff that he did as a player.
Yeah.
He was a lot better than like our recollection.
He's like what we thought Cineris Moss was going to be.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That was unfortunate.
I was pumped
I wanted Cineris Moss to be so good.
Me too, like his brother.
Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes people just don't translate, He was. His brother was small, but he was smaller, wasn't he?
He was smaller, yeah. I think he was even shorter and probably lighter and just a different kind of player.
Not as cool.
He probably would have been good in the NFL now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. Santana Moss, what a great name.
Great name. He was probably one of my more favorite players from the Washington football team.
I remember him as a Jet for some reason.
Yeah.
Either way, do you guys want to keep talking offense, or should we move on to defense? Maybe just mention something about the running game. I don't think Saquon will be missed at all. Is what I've taken from the last two preseason games. And
you know what?
As much as Singletary didn't have a great game, the guys behind him were ripping off 6 yards a carry, 6.5 yards a carry. So
and running straight.
Yeah, running straight. Giants will carry 4 running backs.
There was that jump cut. That was really tasty.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I think Singletary will start the season as the number one. I don't think he'll end the season as the number one. I think one of these guys is going to step up.
It's running back crew. That's what that is. Committee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't draft any Giants running backs for your fantasy team.
Oh, definitely not.
Well, that's been good advice since Saquon's rookie year.
Yeah, but now it's going to look like the Pats offense of the Billy days. So
fine. Yeah. The Patriots had a lot of success doing that. I mean, albeit they had the best quarterback of all time playing on their team, but still, if you want to make comparisons.
Yeah, the running game was an afterthought there too.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a main thing for us.
I didn't know Brett Favre was the quarterback of the Patriots.
Oh, hey.
How about
That's what I'm talking about.
Brett Favre, really?
No, I don't know. I just thought it'd be a funny one.
I was be like, of all the people you could say instead of Brady, it's like, yeah, Brett Favre was good. I liked him because he put all his cards on the table.
He's a riverboat gambler.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He drew it up in the dirt. Backyard quarterback.
I don't know. I'm more of a Frank Reich guy myself.
Frank Reich.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Frank Reich never robbed any welfare recipients to build a volleyball court.
Among all the other things that Brett Favre did that were unsavory.
Brett Favre just put in America first, fellas. Can't knock him for that.
Well,
Did anyone see Lil John doing the roll call at the DNC tonight?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Lil John,
yeah, you look it up.
He didn't strike me as a Democrat type for some reason.
No.
I don't know why.
I would never watch that in a million years. There's nothing that could make me watch that or watch a clip of that. This is maybe the only thing that could get me to watch a clip of it.
It's working.
Maybe it was a good idea.
Although
I was undecided between
I'm
Kamala
undecided.
and Trump. Then Little John really put me over the edge.
I don't want to consume any more information. I've made my choice. I'm done. I don't need to hear anything else.
I'd be lying to say if I didn't see any of the clips. The only clip that I saw was Jason Isbell playing music for the entire crowd because I like him a lot, but I didn't watch anything else.
Colin, was he part of the Drive-By Truckers?
He sure was.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. He wrote some of the best songs they ever wrote.
I had no idea.
Yeah. He was actually there's a great documentary. I forget the name of it. Look it up. It talks about all of the beginning, and he was like 16, 17 years old when he joined that band. So that's worth a watch.
Did you watch Flowers of Killer Moon?
Yeah, it was great. He was great in it too.
He
was a good actor for a first-time actor. Sturgill Simpson wasn't bad, but that was a bit part.
Jason Isbell was way better than Sturgill. Yeah.
Yeah, a bigger part too.
Yeah,
but
much bigger.
We digress.
I just want to know that I know nothing of what you just said. I don't know any of the movies, or TV shows, or bands, or musicians that you just mentioned.
That's perfect.
So just like me and everyone else that's listening to this podcast, I have no clue what's going on. Let's talk about the defense.
About Martin Scorsese, dude.
Yeah, what the hell are you talking about?
Whatever. Movies.
It's Scorsese. It's Scorsese now because he finally told people that it was pronounced incorrect for 40 years.
I just roll with
Patrick
it at this point.
Swayze.
Seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like when was that the linebacker on the Colts? He like changed his name like 2 years ago. Darius Leonard. It's something else now. Shaquille Leonard.
Oh,
And I'm like, everyone knew you because you were good, and now no one knows who you are because when you changed your name, you weren't as good.
it's like it's like
odd.
it's like a Giancarlo Stanton situation, but not.
I guess I don't know. Anyway, let's jump back into talking about the game. We're really going off on a few tangents right now. Defense-wise, guys, how do we feel? I mean, obviously Brian Burns looks, the part. What limited action we've seen, and obviously Dexter Lawrence came on Thibodeau. We look good on those positions. Secondary looks a little shaky. Just wondering what you guys were thinking. Otherwise, what other players? Obviously, want to mention Elijah Chapman and whoever else.
Well, that's the number one excitement thing. I was kind of kidding before in the text where I said, let's put him in the Ring of Honor already. Obviously, he hasn't played a game yet, but he certainly plays that kind of role that is, I don't know. I've always had a soft spot in my heart for like the rotational defensive tackles.
Jay Alford.
Yeah, Jay Alford, Jay Bromley. Yeah, Frobbins was a starter, but like, but those kinds of players, the guys who just like
Bromley.
He had
Robbins, Fred Robbins. That's still a great nickname.
I mean,
Robin Robbins.
No, there was always those random defensive tackles that like would flash when you needed them, and then they would go away and be off the team in like a season. But it was cool when they were able to be like role players and actually have impacts. So the guy's like 6 feet, 278 pounds or whatever. He's going to be total passing downs next to Dex trying to. That I'm going to love seeing the double team situation where either one of those guys is going to be free to go. It's inevitable. I mean,
they're going to double Dex, but
yeah, exactly. And this guy's
going to him in a starting role, or do you think that? I mean, I don't know exactly what tech he is, but Roaches, Ryder Anderson. You think probably they'll end up being
Ryder
Anderson's gone.
Oh, we cut him today.
Injury waived. Yeah.
Right. So we just have Jordan Raleigh. DJ Davidson is gone. We traded him to Cowboys, right?
No, that was Jordan Phillips.
Oh, Jordan Phillips. Sorry, man. There's too many guys I can't keep track of all my defensive tackles. But
a lot of defensive.
Yeah,
tackles.
I think with Ryder Anderson gone, it looks like he might end up actually starting, which is interesting. I didn't actually expect that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the defense was fairly encouraging. They played well against the Texans' first stringers. CJ Stroud got the ball out really fast, but they were still almost getting to him. I mean, not to go back to Daniel Jones, but it's crazy to see how much further advanced the second-year quarterback is from our 6-year quarterback. But I think they did a pretty good job getting pressures on him, making him get rid of the ball really fast. I don't think they scored on the first-string defense, or at least CJ Stroud and the starters didn't score on him. It was just a pick six, right? And then the secondary, is going to be an issue. Hopefully they can figure something out. I think there was a little bit of handsy there. Like Deonte Banks looked like he got worked a couple times, but there's also seemed to be like considerable push off on that one play that looked egregious. I don't know. Monitoring the Micah McFadden injury, that was a huge bummer. Hopefully the safeties can work something out. I think they're better than they played. But I don't know. I mean, defense isn't the concern for me right now, really.
Yeah.
We're kind of thin in the inside linebacker front right now because the injuries. Deontay Johnson too is not exactly 100%. Yeah. Like that's not great. Bobby Okereke is going to be holding it down. I wonder if we'll go into the season, depending on how it's looking then, with I don't know, maybe one of those throwback 3 safety looks, depending on if we need it. I don't know. I don't want to worry about that sort of thing because the biggest worry, number one, is if the offense is not to go to the offense again, but if they're off the field 3 and out and the defense is tired, it doesn't matter what the hell the defense is looking like individually right now. We got to keep them as fresh as possible. And hopefully, as opposed to seasons directly in the past, we can actually stay out there, get a bunch of first downs and actually keep our defense fresh so they're ready to attack and not be dragging ass all over the place.
TJ, how do you feel about the Isaiah Simmons slot cornerback experiment?
Not. I mean, it's not a natural position for him. I don't think he's terrible, but I don't think he, from what I was hearing, the people are saying that he doesn't kind of have that hip smoothness. You need to kind of go into the slot and to really succeed there. But I do think as a pass rusher, and maybe not your slot corner, maybe your fourth corner, or something like that, I think it could work. He played well enough. I just think that it's so hard to carve out a role for this guy. They really need to just keep moving around and see where it works, and then just stick with that. Like if he's good at rushing the passer, just keep him there because the Giants can use pass rushers,
Or if there's a way to make sure, I don't know, he's on the field when obvious tight end play situations where he would cover the tight end.
I was going to say tight end. I don't feel comfortable with him covering wide receivers.
No, definitely not.
I wouldn't think so. Yeah,
well, he was. He was doing it a lot.
I mean, he's fast, but he's straight ahead fast. He's not like, like you said, turn your hips fast.
Yeah, which is, pretty much a really important skill when you're a cornerback.
Yeah.
I mean, the only other thing I want to just give a shout out to Tyler Nubin, who I thought, looked good, had a good game. I think Dane Belton didn't have a good game. I think you might actually see Tyler Nubin beat him out at the end of camp. We'll see how the next game goes, but that's definitely a possibility. So safety looks good. I think the Giants are hurting a cornerback, maybe need to get somebody, which will bring me to the next part of what I want to talk about, the Andrew Thomas contract restructure, which we saw the Giants restructure $4.2 million of Thomas's salary into a signing bonus, create an additional $3.34 million in 2024 cap space. I've seen the figure of the Giants open cap space anywhere from 14 to 18 million, 18.8 million being the highest, I believe I saw it. Brendan Brown said the Giants are going to be active on the waiver wire. Now that they have all this cap room, do you envision them making like a bigger splash, just picking up some smaller guys, trying to stay young, or maybe going for a veteran at the cornerback position or somewhere else?
I think they're going to go cheap. They're going to go with whoever was flashing at cornerback from other teams that they'll just snatch off. And I think it's going to be a body situation where, get them in there. There's inevitable injuries that will happen. So let's get some youth. I don't think there'll be big splashes. I mean, you saw Stephon Gilmore go for $10 million to, where was it? Minnesota or whatever it was.
Minnesota. That would have been the move, but if they're not looking to make that kind of move.
No, that's too big.
I think they should. I know that the Giants prefer to be younger, but I feel like just a veteran cornerback on a 1-year deal, someone
who
presumably
now.
I mean, I don't know. Adoree Jackson is out there. He's played for you. You know about him. You've had him on your team. Xavier Howard, he's probably expensive. I don't know. I don't think Cordell Flott and Nick McLeod inspire a lot of confidence in me as a starting cornerback in the NFL.
Yep.
We'll see what happens, but Deontay Banks is going to have to make a huge leap, which I think he will. I think last year he showed a lot of improvement throughout the season, showed us why he was a number 1 draft pick. That being said, I think the Giants have habitually had an issue at number 2 corner, and they don't seem to be wanting to necessarily fill it with a tried and true player. They keep wanting to, rotate someone who they have in the roster already or that they could bring in for cheap. I'm just concerned how that's going to work for them. It's a dicey position. And then if you remember on Hard Knocks, Shane was talking about who's going to play cornerback over and over again in some of those episodes. So,
well, do we know? Because I don't remember this. I don't remember how it kind of just fizzled out. Going back to Adoree again, was that a bad like juju situation, like bad faith, like he was pissed, or was it just kind of like that's the business and I'm out here now? Is he mad? Would he come back? Like I have no idea if that's even on the table.
No idea. But I'm, he's you know who he is. He's fit into your locker room. He's fit in with your head coach.
I'd take him back if he doesn't expect a ton.
If it's cheap and, he just comes in, maybe not expecting to start necessarily, but to contribute in any way. I don't know if he wants to. I mean, he's still kind of a younger.
Yeah.
How old is he?
He's
He's like probably 30 or something. Let me take a look real quick.
Yeah. I'm curious about that because that would be ideal. I would have no problem signing him to a 1-year, I don't know, throw him $5 million, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. Just something to wet your whistle,
Yeah, and we have the room now, and you keep some on the books for inevitably when you're going to have to sign somebody mid-season for depth purposes and what have you.
Wow. Why can't I find out how old Adoree Jackson is? 28. 28.
Oh, damn. Yeah, I'd have no problem with that. I wonder if that's on the table. I really do. I mean, he hasn't been picked up by anybody at all. Like,
Nope.
there's wow, that's surprising.
He's probably asking for too much money. That's my guess. But you know
Well-
what? He's waiting for an injury.
Yeah.
Something of that nature. But if he did want to come back on a smaller deal, I mean, like you said, I think they should do it in a heartbeat.
It'll be
Couldn't hurt.
after that last preseason game. He'll be picked up real quick by somebody. I'd have to imagine. You know.
Yeah. Or maybe we'll see someone get cut that Shane has been interested in. Dabo likes Shane Bowen has coached before, or something of that nature, and they'll bring someone in that way. But either way, I'm just curious, what the move with the contract restructure was for, and if it's not to, presumably bring in someone for a somewhat significant portion of your salary cap, under 10 million, most likely. I'm not sure what the purpose of that move was exactly.
I mean, I'd have to imagine it wasn't just, well, we can free it up, so why don't we just free it up in case we need it? No,
That's what they said.
Yeah, but they always say that. They have something in mind or someone in mind, because there's never satisfaction almost by anyone going into the season. There's always somewhere where someone wants to shore up to feel more confident about the depth or even starting for that matter. So, and it's cornerback. I mean, Hard Knocks said it enough. That was they tried to downplay it, but it's true. You are thin at a very important position. And granted, yeah, you can cover it up a little bit with the pass rush, but to be determined if that's going to be a consistent positive of this team, and one that we've been lacking for many, many years now, and probably one of the biggest reasons besides quarterback why we haven't been very good in a long time. So,
indeed,
yeah.
I actually don't have much more on the docket for us to speak tonight, guys, unless you have something glaring in your mind. I mean, we could talk about a little bit about, some of the roster battles, but I think that might be more fun to do after the Jets game next week.
Yeah, I think we should table it, because we talk about cuts and how they're going to chip things down too. And we're going to know if we do it again next Wednesday, we're going to have a pretty good idea of obviously what's going on. Cool.
All right. Guys, thanks for listening. Please follow Big Blue United, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You follow us, BBU Podboys with a Z on Twitter. Email Dan, Big Blue United Podcast, all one word, all really long, at gmail.com. And we'll catch you guys next week. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you. Muchas gracias.